The latest in the Ruby Frankie saga is absolutely wild, with some major updates that have left fans and critics alike in shock. To start off, Ruby and Kevin Frankie's divorce has finally been finalized, and the details are now coming to light. Kevin had filed for divorce back in November of 2023, shortly after Ruby's arrest on multiple charges of aggravated child abuse. The court has now confirmed the split, and what's revealed in the settlement agreement is nothing short of jaw-dropping. The cause for the divorce was listed as irreconcilable differences, but there's more to the story. Kevin claims that Ruby asked him to leave their family home back in July of 2022, well before her arrest, citing issues with his addiction. Ruby allegedly told him that he needed help and needed to cut all ties with their children due to these problems. This was a major turning point in their relationship, and the aftermath of this request set the stage for the dramatic unraveling of their family. Now, in terms of custody, the court awarded Kevin full legal and physical custody of their 6 children, with 4 of them still minors. This means that Kevin will be fully responsible for the kids moving forward, and there was no provision for Ruby to pay child support, which has stirred up a lot of controversy online. Many people are questioning how Ruby got away with such a decision, given the gravity of her legal troubles. In addition to full custody, Kevin was also awarded the family home in Springville and a recreational lot in Schofield that they owned together. Meanwhile, Ruby only retained ownership of her personal property, which includes her clothing, cosmetics, journals, and other memorabilia. But the most controversial part of the divorce settlement is the $85,000 Ruby withdrew from their joint financial accounts, including funds taken from their children's financial accounts. This withdrawal occurred after Ruby's arrest, and it seems like Kevin wasn't fully aware of this action until Ruby told him about it during one of their prison phone calls.
I pulled the money, and I have it in a bag. And
with you? Do the police have it?
Well, I don't know what the police took. I don't know what the police have.
But the bag was at Jodi's house?
They can't just take people's money. I mean, that's not right.
Well, they're not going to take the money, but when they have a search warrant, they have access to everything in the house.
Sure. Yeah.
I have a feeling we're going to need that money.
Despite the outrage that followed, the court has allowed Ruby to keep the $85,000, which has sparked major online backlash. Viewers are furious that she was able to keep money that was allegedly taken from her children's accounts, and many are calling this a blatant injustice. One Reddit user even commented, "Can't believe she gets to keep the money she stole from her children's bank accounts," expressing how many feel about this controversial decision. Meanwhile, Sherri Frankie, Ruby's daughter, has been making headlines of her own. Recently, Sherri posted about getting a cat named Muffet, who she said helped with her anxiety. While this may seem like a simple and relatable story, it was the way Sherri described the cat that caught people's attention. She referred to Muffet as a demon, joking that the cat was so wild, it made her forget about her anxiety altogether. The comments raised eyebrows because Ruby had once made claims that her 2 youngest children were possessed, leading some to wonder if this was an attempt at humor or if there was something deeper going on. Given the family's tumultuous history and the things Ruby has said in the past, fans are reading between the lines and questioning whether there's more to Sherri's words than meets the eye. And if that wasn't enough, Jodi Hildebrand, the so-called life coach who was sentenced alongside Ruby, has now filed for post-conviction relief, aiming to overturn her conviction.
The fact that Jodi is trying to find a way to lessen her sentence or find a way to do something and completely pointing the finger at Doug Terry, saying he didn't read me my rights, he didn't do anything that he should have done, and this whole process was bogus, is basically what she's filing from behind bars.
Jodi pled guilty to 4 counts of aggravated child abuse, but now she's arguing that her legal team didn't fully explore options that could have potentially changed the outcome of her case.
Court document indicates she is pro se, meaning she's representing herself, and as Brian said, she is claiming that her attorney, Douglas Terry, failed abysmally in making sure she knew what was going on in court and the consequences that she could face.
Joi's attorney claims that Joi didn't understand the plea process and didn't realize the full implications of her guilty plea at the time. This argument centers around Joi's claim that she wasn't fully aware of her rights during the trial, and now she wants another chance to challenge her conviction. What makes this even more complicated is that during Joi's public courtroom statement, she didn't directly admit guilt or offer a heartfelt apology for her actions. Her statement was vague and lacked any clear acknowledgement of the harm she caused to the children involved.
I sincerely love these children. I desire for them to heal physically and emotionally. One of the reasons I did not go to trial is that I did not want them to emotionally relive the experience which would have been detrimental to them. My hope and prayer is that they will heal and move forward to have beautiful lives. I am willing to submit to what the state feels would be an appropriate amount of time served to make retribution.
Now, in her petition for post-conviction relief, Joi details her lack of understanding of the legal process and argues that she should have been given a clear explanation of her rights. The petition also suggests that her initial legal representation may not have been adequate, further complicating the case. This development has stirred up even more debate, with some wondering if Joi's attempt to reverse her conviction is an attempt to evade full responsibility for her actions. Given her lack of contrition during the trial and her current move to change her sentence, many people are questioning her true intentions. This is a bold statement considering Joi had legal representation and pleaded guilty in front of a judge. In her petition, Joi claims that her conviction and sentence were the result of a guilty plea that was unlawfully induced or not made knowingly or voluntarily. She argues that she did not fully understand the nature of the charges or the consequences of her plea. Joi accuses her lawyer, Doug Terry, of ineffective assistance, claiming that he didn't conduct an investigation, advised her to waive the preliminary hearing, failed to demand clarification of the charges, did not negotiate a plea agreement that conformed to the law, and didn't properly inform her of her constitutional rights.
And one of my colleagues spoke to a former prosecutor here, now a defense attorney, who weighs in with some media coverage and really just called this a Hail Mary for Jodi Hildebrand. I mean, making a true Hail Mary attempt at trying to get her sentence lessened at the
Doug Terry has every right to defend himself against these accusations. Brian from KUTV mentioned that he reached out to Terry for a statement on the petition, but had not received a response before filming his video. Brian expressed doubt over Joi's claims, finding it hard to believe that she was never informed of her rights.
Would have a hard time thinking that she was never actually read her rights and actually was gone through some of those things. Because she says in this document here, she was never made aware of her rights.
Joi's petition also includes allegations of prosecutor misconduct, claiming that her conviction was based on the unconstitutional failure of the prosecution to provide adequate notice of the charges. She accuses them of negotiating an unlawful plea agreement, committing plain errors, and denying her due process rights, including the failure to properly apply the law in the plea agreement. Joi's petition alleges that the court did not enforce her constitutional rights regarding notice of the charges, leaving her at a disadvantage. The evidence and findings related to Joi's petition for post-conviction relief have been mailed and will eventually reach the Washington County Courthouse. Once received, officials will review the documents to determine whether her claims warrant further investigation or legal action. In one section of her petition, Joi writes that she was not made aware of her rights and that her attorney failed to inform her of them. As the drama continues to unfold, this story just keeps twisting. From Ruby keeping the children's money to Joi now claiming she didn't fully understand the rights she gave up when she pleaded guilty, it remains to be seen whether her petition will gain any traction. But one thing is for sure, the aftermath of this case is far from over. What do you think about Joi's petition and Ruby's ability to keep that $85,000? Let me know your thoughts below.